You ever hear the tragedy of the And One mixtape tours?
It's on once again, and one mixtapes, volume 3.
I think not. It's not a story your coach would tell you. It's a street legend. And One was a team of street ballers, so memeable and entertaining. They would have surpassed the NBA if they had the internet and meme culture of today. They had such amazing handles. They transformed basketball culture. They influenced a whole generation to get flashy.
Is that legal?
Street basketball is a pathway to many skills some consider to be illegal.
What happened to him?
They toured the USA. They had a reality TV show on ESPN. Everything was going great until it wasn't. Unfortunately, the owners sold And One, and things happened until eventually the team fell apart. Things that we can only speculate on. Man, this wet weather makes such a good mood for anything dramatic. Anyway, let's start at the very beginning. For those of you who've never heard of And One, I'm sure you would have heard of at least Professor Leg. He's a big basketball YouTuber. His career started in And One. And that team had Professor and a lot more players like him. So it was started as a college project by 3 kids. They started off selling t-shirts aimed at street ballers and were called Trash Talk Tees. These t-shirts were a huge success.
I don't play for fame.
So they did what most brands do next, which is expand
I don't need your approval.
and get NBA players to endorse them.
I don't tell you what you want to hear. I ball.
That didn't do all that great. So they decided to use that skip tape. Some time ago, a basketball coach had given them a mixtape of one of his kids, Rayford Alston, who came to be known as Skip to My Lou. And it was an old tape. When they gave it to And One, Rayford Alston was already in college preparing to go to the NBA. They made 50,000 copies of it and went and distributed it to kids and all in camps. And after that, they made even more copies and they said you'll get one free with every purchase you make from And One. Now this strategy was a crazy success. So And One decided why not do more? So they went around to courts in New York and later on all over USA, filming flashy moves and using them to make mixtapes. And these mixtapes weren't just cut and put together highlights. No, they were sound synced to music that was specifically made for the mixtapes. And they had a special announcer too. Shout out to Duke Tango. Now this style of mixtape was a never seen before thing and it was obviously very successful. And then they got the idea of the
And one mixtapes.
And One mixtape tour, where And One formed a team of the best street ballers and gave them endorsement deals and took them on a tour around the USA.
And one mixtapes. 1, 2, 3. Watch out.
Here they went to different cities and played against random people. So let's say they were in New York, they would take the best players of New York, form a team called New York All-Stars and then put them against Team And One in a finale at that city. And from this team, they would select the players that impressed them the most and take them on the tour with them. And in the next city, if they find someone even more impressive, they will replace. And so on and so on. So it was like a reality show to see who stayed all the way till the end of the tour. And these players who did stay would get on Team And One. You know, that's exactly how the professor got on Team And One. And this was the ultimate peak of And One from 2002 to 2008. They had a reality TV show on ESPN called Street Ball. They inspired kids. They even influenced video games and anime. They went on to sign more famous NBA players as well, like Kevin Garnett and Jamal Crawford and a few others. And at this point, they were second only to Nike in the US as a basketball company. So yes, everything was going great. And it would go great for some more time. After their ESPN reality show stopped, they went on a few international tours and conducted some tournaments here and there. But after that, that was about it. The team fell apart. So now we have context and you know exactly how they came up. Let's talk about how did they go down. All the various speculations there are. First off, the ownership changed. The new owners came in like,
I smell profit.
they ran behind these corporates and they did everything they could to please them. Instead of playing basketball and trying to put the ball in the hoop, they were just focused on flashy moves. They decided to ignore all rules of carries, travels, whatever. Now see, you ignore it a little bit, let something slide, people will be cool with it. But you straight up chuck the rules in the trash, then of course it's not as fascinating. This guy would do a crazy move, he'd break someone's ankle, has an open shot. But no, he'll throw the ball in the air and celebrate. Doing crazy fancy schmancy stuff with the basketball looks a lot more exciting than simply putting a ball in a basket. But the main thing is putting the ball in the basket. No matter what flashy things you do, what rules you break, at least you try to score. Even if it's street basketball, you remove that and you're left with a freestyle show or a basketball version of the Pana Challenge. Now this turned away some people, but the hardcore street ballers still watched. The main problem came when the recession hit in 2008. They had to stop the mixtape tour because they thought,
This effort is no longer profitable.
They tried to restart in 2010, but they had lost their momentum. The kids who admired And1 so much quickly found a new role model. The time at about which And1 fell was about when Steph Curry was rising. So kids had another flashy player to look up to and imitate, except this time everything is legal. Another thing which people say is that they didn't pay the players properly. There were a lot of issues with the contract and stuff which led to some of the biggest names deciding to quit the tour and move away. Even the players themselves.
Hot sizzle, looking at it. Guarded by no other than the man they call Water. Let's watch this. Oh, baby, he took the ball away. Now, Water, do your thing. Everybody go, Water, Water. Let me see go, Water, Water, Water. All right.
How many people like you? So don't get mad. I'm happy. You can't possibly be happy. I'm not upset. Of course you're not.
So they had a lot of ego and a lot of infighting. You know, think about it. You take random people who are playing basketball for fun in the streets, who never had fame or money, probably who never tried for fame or money either, and you give them both fame and money. They're bound to get a little cocky. Add to this that And1 took all the best street ballers on their team. So they didn't have a great competition that's actually capable of beating them. So this would lead to what happened with Taiko in Kuroko no Basket, where instead of competing with opponents, they'll start competing with each other. And when this happens, the team is going to fall apart. And even if you manage to have a proper team after these two things, remember they are on a reality show. And on reality shows, people are made to fight for entertainment.
Y'all talk trash, but end up on your ass. I'm hot sauce for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
If you don't believe me, go to YouTube and search Trash Talker Basketball and see the types of videos that come up. They all have plenty of views, and if you click on one of these, fake this fighting long enough, and it will become real. eventually they are going to get cocky and fight in real life, not just in a show. Ironic. The same fighting and cockiness that got them such high ratings on ESPN was one of the reasons the team fell apart. It's really unfortunate if you think about it. Something that had such a big impact on basketball and basketball culture in general, and it all just falls apart. And one was what influenced me to think basketball was cool in the first place. I started practicing those moves because I wanted to be like them. Especially Hot Sauce. He was my favorite. I had seen these on YouTube in 2016, and by that time And1 was already gone. But not just me. These moves influenced a whole generation. If you look at the Steph Currys and Kyrie Irvings, that's where they got some of their inspiration from. The reason the NBA is so fancy-schmancy today is because of And1. Pre-And1, just faking one person a little bit like Iverson did to Michael Jordan was such a huge deal. And today if you look in the NBA, that happens all the damn time. They were also the start of the whole highlight reel mixtape thing. What Overtime or Ball is Life, Slam or any of these big media companies are doing today, put suitable music, sync the clips to it, add various angles, slow-mos, it's all And1 type stuff. So yeah, the tragedy of the And1 mixtape tour wasn't a pure tragedy after all. It did have a whole bunch of good things. I'd like to end with this one quote.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
The police, the yellow D. I'm like Frank Mathis. See me blow my dough. And then you give it, if you I know. Oh no, you had to go see Primo.